The planet wants to know when I'm returning to Otter Creek, Florida, and when George is returning to Hales Headquarters in Ohio. And I'm about to tell you those answers. When I'm returning to Florida will be when the next town hall meeting takes place. Now, with the last meeting being canceled, unfortunately, there was question, would there be an emergency meeting called? Would there be a special meeting called? Both of those were real options. An emergency meeting's typically within 24 hours. A special meeting is typically within 7 days. Or would the next meeting just happen within the next month? And it looks as if the next meeting is just going to take place during the next month of May, which we are in currently as of the time of filming this episode. So the meetings are always the third Tuesday of every month, and roughly they start about 7 p.m. Now, that has been attempted to change in the past to try and encourage more attendance, but nothing did change. And the only real attendance is coming from people that can't believe that this place truly even exists. So when am I going back? I'll be flying back for every single town hall meeting. And what if Lynette and Crook show up at the town hall meetings? Well, they have every right to show up at any place legally if myself or George is not there. But if myself or George show up, they must immediately remove themselves. Whether it's the post office, whether it's Walmart, whether it's the court and the public road out front, because Crook has nothing to do with the court hearings until he's called as a witness. Now, Lynette can go in the court because she actually has scheduled court if I'm there. But other than that, they have to stay away 500 feet. That's all public buildings, all public places, all public roads, all, you name it. Even town hall. If they show up at town hall and I show up at town hall, they have to immediately remove themselves. Now you're going, well, Jeremy, you've got a temporary injunction right now. You are correct, which means I would have to immediately remove myself as well, which then I will immediately go back once they're gone because George is there as well, and they can't be anywhere near George, which brings up the question, when is George coming back to Hales Headquarters? Well, as of right now, there is no answer for that. There's no plan for her to return to Hales Headquarters. The only plan in place currently is for her to be in Otter Creek, Florida. Other than that, there is nothing in the works. Many people want to know, will the new council members be seated at the next meeting like they were supposed to in the previous one? And the easy answer is they should be, but is Russ the Sus up to something again? What about Don the Con, who duped us all, and his wife Rosemary, who stole from us all the residents of Otter Creek? Except Don the Con has stated many times on film that he doesn't represent me. Now, it's not because I'm not a resident of Otter Creek. If you pay taxes, if you own property or land, you obviously have a residency there. Now, my legal residency, where I claim as home, is in Ohio. That doesn't mean that I don't have multiple places of residency. Obviously, I'm paying taxes in Florida. Obviously, I'm paying taxes in Ohio. But Ohio is my legal residency where I vote for the primary election for the president, which makes a difference. Where I pay all of my federal taxes, and I pay state taxes, and I pay local taxes, and I pay city taxes. I pay multiple city taxes. That could be down in Florida. That could be up in Ohio in different counties. And I pay county taxes. As a matter of fact, the taxes are a little out of control. Now, per my CPA, for every dollar I make, all of my taxes combined, that's every single tax I pay for everything I do, 55 cents out of every dollar goes towards taxes. That's a little concerning. You would think the better thing for me to do would to go live and have my permanent residency, my legal residency, my voting residency in Florida because of the tax breaks. But I refuse to do that because my children are in Ohio. And regardless of how much money I can save, my residency is going to stay where they are because my children are more important than any monetary amount or any tax break I could ever receive. Don the Con will be reseated again. I don't know why, but again, well, remember, there was no election. And George has been looking forward to Don the Con being reseated because she thinks he brings the most comedy to the table. Some things aren't enjoyable to laugh at, while other things are. And while it's nice to find humor in everything, I have a feeling the residents of Otter Creek are kind of done with the humor of Don the Con. It is a joke what this man does to every single meeting. Laura Mott will be seated as well. And she's been seated in the past, and she's also the same person that publicly stated in the Chiefland Citizen that she will talk to any resident about anything, even if they're just lonely. She will answer any question. She will answer smoke signals. But when a local resident in Otter Creek got on her Facebook page and said, "What have you done for Otter Creek as you're now running for county commissioner?" she immediately blocked them. That doesn't sound like an individual who's willing to answer the smoke signals. I mean, that's a legitimate question when you're running for a candidacy in a government position. Literally, what has she done? Well, she got them in quite a bit of liability legally under the direction of Russ the Sus. Frankly, I don't think she's bright enough to do it on her own. I think it was Russ the Sus actually telling her. Now, these are allegations based on my own opinion. I can't prove any of it, but based on the 6,000 emails, it definitely looks that way. And then Joe will be reseated as well. So you've got Don the Con, Laura Mott, Joe, and then Carl, our local Marine, who almost lost his life, and yet he still is willing to serve his community. He's got a family. He's a family man, and he wants to see things get better for his family. Most people would, right? I mean, that's normal. That's the American dream, to have things better, except some of the individuals in Otter Creek want things worse. Russ the Sus, Don the Con. And we have to ask the question, why? Why would they want messes everywhere? Why would they want endangerments everywhere? Why do they want to push out what they call outsiders, when it was literally Michigan outsiders that created Otter Creek as the central hub of Levy County, where everything happened back in the day? Otter Creek was amazing, and now it's dilapidated. Why would they want that? Is it because they're scared of taxes? Regardless of whether you have garbage on your property or whether your property is cleaned up, you're paying taxes no matter what. So that's not going to decrease or increase your taxes. Do they not want business? No, they don't. They don't want business, but they want to go to other places where business is. So why don't they want business? I mean, we got to ask the question. Because those businesses would actually generate a tremendous amount of tax revenue for Otter Creek, and Otter Creek could probably even then get clean water, because now they would actually have money. And regardless of how you feel about money, money creates problems, but money also solves problems. I personally believe we haven't seen the last of Russ the Sus. Now, I can say that confidently because he's still creeping down the road past my property and everybody else's. And that's not okay, especially when there are children around at the Christian school in Otter Creek. Now, it's not just children. Where the females are, that's not okay either. I would not be okay with anybody. It's just not a Russ the Sus thing. It is anybody. Everybody who would do this, I would not be okay with. It is creepy at best and not good intentions for those individuals that are being creeped around at worst. So Russ the Sus, there are those that are still sus. And if you're going, what is sus? Suspicious. Russell the suspicious. There are those that have suspicion that he's still trying to pull something, still trying to do something. And again, we have to ask motive. Okay, so he doesn't want Otter Creek to be anything but Otter Creek with real good water. And messes everywhere. And we've shown it in the past on video, his own daughter, Charlene, videoing, and Russ the Sus saying, it wouldn't be Otter Creek if there wasn't garbage everywhere. Well, how about you become a clean Otter Creek? I mean, how dumb do you have to be to actually go, you know what? I think that's okay. I think that's all right. That's what I want for my children. That's what I want for my neighbors. That's what I want for my town. I want it to become a dump. I want garbage everywhere, rotten stuff everywhere. I want animals that will ticks, and I want spiders, and I want snakes that could attack anyone, because they don't want kids there. They've chased any real families out. Why? Again, why? I don't get it. It's got to be for a cover-up, right? So there are a couple philosophies out there, and maybe theories is a better word, that it's because they're trying to hide the pharmaceutical candy that they are dispensing to individuals. Now, we all know there are those individuals who love rugs. Who doesn't love a good rug to wipe their feet on? Except in Otter Creek, rug is something very, very different. It starts with the D. And there's no doubt there is an issue on my own property when I first bought it. Rugs were being sold constantly, and there's still constant rug activity happening on my property, by my property, in front of my property, and obviously across from my property if we talk about turd old purgatory, right? And so, is it a cover-up? Is it hiding? You don't want families, you don't want people, you don't want business, because then somebody may know something, see something, say something about what's really happening in Otter Creek? That's a good theory, and I'm sure there are many more that you have as well. There are those who have said, Otter Creek doesn't need a baseball team. Well, there are a lot of things Otter Creek doesn't need. Otter Creek doesn't need a turtle and tortoise rescue. That's literally just a whole nother dump and a front to try and get tax write-offs and scam the government. Yeah, nobody needs that. It'd be great to have a gas station. I mean, a Dollar General would even be nice, even though there is one roughly 10 minutes down the road towards Cedar Key, and there's another 10 minutes towards Chiefland, and there's another 10 minutes towards Bronson. I mean, just to have something where you could get something quick. Now, Herschel's is there, and Herschel's is up for sale, and Elizabeth owns Herschel's, and I've actually called Elizabeth and said, how much do you want? And she said, well, I don't know. I didn't think anybody would call. And so she never actually gave me a price. You can't buy something that people don't give you a price for. You can't buy something that's not for sale. And there are many people who said, well, Jeremy's just trying to buy up the entire town. Well, first of all, those people think I'm worth a whole lot more than I actually am. And I've shared this in the past, and I'll share it again. I'm worth a big whopping zero. Nothing. I have no value to my name. Now, I do have businesses that generate income, but even though my businesses generate income, they also generate a tremendous amount of expenses. And I've shared this in the past, and I will again. If your business generates $1 million in income and you have $975,000 in expenses, what do you have at the end of that? Well, $25,000. Well, you could probably just go work for somebody for $25,000 instead and get health care. But I'd rather not. I rather have freedom of my time. And it's very, very hard to put any type of price on freedom of your actual time, which is why I call it not unemployment, but fun employment. Because I can get up whenever I want to get up. I can do whatever I want to do. And something that I don't want to do is buy every property in Otter Creek. Why would I want dilapidated garbage dump properties in Otter Creek? Nobody in their right business mind would do that. You're going, but Jeremy, you're a businessman and you did buy not one property. So far, you've bought the ranch, the old church, the old school. You now have 3 properties that you've individually purchased in Otter Creek. And yeah, absolutely, that's true. So when I bought the ranch, I bought that based off of a business plan. It put me smack dab in the middle of all the major cities: Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Orlando, Tampa, and the list can go on and on. Close to Gainesville, but even better, I'm close to the Gulf Coast, and I can swing over to Cedar Key anytime and enjoy ice cream and pizza and dolphins. And we all know turtles are out, dolphins are in. So that worked perfectly. And I wanted to build a warehouse on the property. I never wanted to stay in the actual ranch house, even though I still am there. And nor did I ever anticipate the kind of rude awakening of the local culture with some individuals. And it's very minute within those individuals. Nor did I ever anticipate that I would be stalked. I mean, who in their right mind stalks somebody that they watch on YouTube? I mean, that in itself, just the insanity of that concept and that thought is just mind-boggling and mind-blowing in of itself. And so while my business plan was to be in the central hub of getting to all of these major cities, and I wanted to build a warehouse, well, now I have the schoolhouse, which acts as the warehouse, which a warehouse would have cost me roughly $2 million to actually put in. Actually, probably more. Now, I got the schoolhouse at a discounted price because they no longer wanted to be there. There are those out there that state that it was condemned. No, the schoolhouse was never, ever, and never has been condemned. Remodeling, yeah, but the schoolhouse, quite frankly, is in better condition than probably 98% of the homes in Otter Creek. The structure of concrete on the outside and the walls and the steel roof with the sticks and timber, it's lasted for well over 100, well, we're coming up on 100 years. So it's going to last for well over 100 years. How do you beat that? And the location is perfect. As a matter of fact, having that building has been one of the biggest blessings in Otter Creek. Meeting people like the Hudson sisters and the owners of the woodworking shop and the campground owners and the people who live at the campground. And yeah, there's just so many precious people. Doug and Belinda. And Belinda, you know, is in now Town Hall as the clerk, and you've got Deborah and Doc that live over at the campground, and there's just so many people that we truly enjoy. And it looks like now there's even a town in a town, a tube town within Otter Creek, the town. I mean, it's just mind-blowing what's going on in this place and the development that's taking place. There are those that want to know simple things about Otter Creek, such as Patrick, who says, wait, hold a second. Town hall's in a shed? All right, Patrick, Town Hall isn't actually in a shed. You know what? It kind of is. Well, you see, there's block building, and depending on where you are on the planet, or even in the United States, depends on how you build. Moisture and humidity is a big issue in Florida, and therefore many people build with block, concrete siding, if you've ever seen that or been a part of that before. It's not typical builds as we would see up north, for example, Hales Headquarters, okay? And so while all of my siding here at Hales Headquarters is it's wood, it's painted wood, that would never, ever last in Florida. And so it's a block building with basically, you know, an A-frame top. And at one point, I believe they parked in there, and it's somewhat like a shed. Next door, you know, it's kind of a shed as well. It was a pavilion from what I've heard, and then it was covered in. And, you know, there's projects like that kind of just happen when you put up just a roof and a lean-to pavilion, and then you go, well, we need a building, and then all of a sudden you put up blocks or you put up siding or you put up anything to enclose that structure. And honestly, that's probably what happened in Otter Creek. You've got a building with a necessity, and they go, okay, what can we do to adapt it and make it work? So while Town Hall looks like it's a shed, it potentially was a shed. But here's the difference. For individuals that live illegally in sheds in Otter Creek, nobody's living in Town Hall. Not one person is living in Town Hall. Although Mary Mathescary did have her dining room table in Town Hall for some reason. I still haven't figured that one out. Who brings their dining room table to Town Hall? And she had her own personal safe in Town Hall. Why would you bring a safe to Town Hall? I could understand if Town Hall actually owned a safe and payments were coming in for water, and you went, you know what, instead of having all these payments out on the table and I don't want to lose them, I'm going to lock them in the safe. That way they're safe, which is why a safe is called a safe, because anything inside of it is supposed to be kept safe. But the safe was empty, unlocked, empty, and owned by Mary. Safes are scary, and kitchen tables in Town Hall are scary. So she wasn't living there that I know of. Now, I'm pretty sure Lynette and Crook didn't try to live there, because Lynette and Crook were very vocal that they were very against Mary, Russ the Sus, Don the Con, Attorney Worm, and so many others, until they were exposed for their own scams and cons. And now the enemy of their enemy is their friend, because the reality is they have no friends. In regards to Carl's accident on the motorcycle, William wants to know, was it an actual accident, or was it somebody trying to keep Carl away from Town Hall? They didn't want him to show up. Now, William, I realize with all the things that have happened and probably will continue to happen in Otter Creek that you could come to a conclusion that there's a conspiracy, that somebody didn't want Carl there. That somebody being Russ the Sus, or that somebody being Don the Con. But I don't believe, based on what Carl has shared with me, that anything would lead to a conclusion that somebody was trying to keep somebody from actually showing up to Town Hall. So many of the roads in rural Florida, number one, are just sand, or they're what's called crushed gravel, okay? Now, their limestone is very, very different, or their crushed gravel is very, very different than what we would know of as far as gravel or limestone, or P57s is another thing that we use terminology for that up north, or even mid-United States, or even other places around the world. And so it's really crumbly, and they'll pack that down, and that will become a road. Very, very few roads are actually paved, and there are some that are chip and sealed. And I realize some of you know what chip and seal is, and I realize there are others that don't. And some of the things that we should always realize when we're watching YouTube is YouTube videos don't just go to me. YouTube videos go to the planet. And what one person knows, another person has no clue about. And therefore, a video has to hit the spectrum of everything that everybody knows. So some may be going, Jeremy, you shared this already. And another person may be going, I didn't know this. It's based on everyone, not just one. And so chip and seal is where you actually tar, you lay down tar, sticky tar, and then you put down chips or breaking offs of gravel and rock, and then it sticks to that tar, and as weight and pressure from your vehicles go over it, it sticks down and it packs down. And so chip and seal is another thing. For example, North Otter Creek Avenue, where the ranch is located, even though the ranch is located in a lot of places, it's 70 plus acres, but the only access to different portions of the property are North Otter Creek Avenue. That is chip and seal. So I don't think that somebody did anything inappropriate. What I do think is the road that Carl was on with his motorcycle, what happens is gravel piles up. I mean, just based on vehicles driving through, driving on, stopping, gravel, loose gravel, chip and seal, things along those lines will actually end up piling up. And you could see it on a lot of roads in Florida where it's all at an end. And then if somebody hits it, it's very loose and you can lose footing, grounding, whatever, traction with your vehicle, especially with a motorcycle. And that motorcycle can lose balance and go down pretty easy. We praise the Lord that Carl is still with us. He's still with his family, and he's here to represent the town of Otter Creek and do great things. Roxanne says, I've got a question too, Jeremy. Since the board has failed to meet 3 times in a row, one of those times with Russell and Don the Con literally getting up and leaving the meeting so that no votes could take place. Power play? Yeah. Chess match? Yeah. Has he been outplayed? Yeah. Have they both been outplayed? Oh, yeah. Since the board has missed 3 meetings in a row, is that going to affect the existence of the board? Well, the fact that they've actually missed 3 meetings in the row kind of proves that there is no need for an existence of a board. So there are those who may go, oh no, you're going to lose precious Otter Creek. Okay. Otter Creek isn't Otter Creek because of a council. What makes Otter Creek is the precious people. Okay. And so it's people that make things what they are. Otter Creek is the Hudson mentality. Otter Creek is Christmas in the Creek. Otter Creek, and we could go on and on and on, right? And so what this has truly proved is there is no need, no immediate, no future at this point need for a town council, right? So we already know bills are getting paid. Belinda's paying those regardless because they're normal reoccurring every month bills, and the board has already decided those don't need to come before the board. Those just get paid 3 months in a row. Why even be incorporated? So that they can come together once a month and fight and argue over power? Seriously, what power? What power? What power is there in a town of less than 100 people? And I've used this equation before. I've had more employees work for me than this town literally has living in it. I've had more employees working for me on more land than this town has, which makes it an incorporated town. And so for me, I look at this and I go, oh my goodness, this is such a small, ridiculous, little tiny thing. And the easiest solution is just unincorporate it. The town of Otter Creek will still be called the town of Otter Creek. The precious people of Otter Creek will still be in Otter Creek. But the only difference is no more meetings to fight over. Nothing more for Russ the Sus to tell Doug, hit me. Nothing more for Russ the Sus to say, sue us. Nothing more. It all goes away. And people can move on with their lives. And if they want to fight one-on-one, hey, let them have at it. If stalkers want to come and stalk, they'll find themselves in court. Have at it. By the way, we don't want anybody stalking us. You want to stalk anybody? Go stalk. Don't stalk. Come on. Not, even if it's a corn stalk, don't stalk. Be smart enough not to stalk. So what happens to the board as a whole? Nothing. There's 3 meetings, haven't taken place. Is there anything that had to take place during those meetings? No. I mean, that shows you the level of importance or unimportance of the actual town council. If this is all Don the Con has to live for, is to be on town council, to argue and complain, man, I gotta say, that's not a quality of life that I would ever want. If the only thing Russ the Sus has to live for is trying to control water so that he can trade turning water on for something else that he wants in the adult nature, first of all, that's horrific. And second of all, how in the world has his family ever tolerated this? And now, I understand he's married, and I understand his wife has made a commitment to him under God, a covenant with God. But what are his children thinking? Especially the ones in Otter Creek that don't even know they're his children. Carol's made a good point, too, on laws in Otter Creek. And she goes, do you really think laws would make a difference to any of these people? Well, honestly, no. They're so incompetent and ignorant to what the laws currently are anyway, that what's a law going to mean to any of them? They truly think they are the law. And that's concerning. Anytime you go out of Otter Creek and you tell somebody you're from Otter Creek, it's either I've never heard of them or, oh, Otter Creek, they're corrupt. They think they can do whatever they want and get away with it. And that's not the way the world works. At some point, even if it means a YouTuber moves in town and you try and steal from him and he calls you out on it, and then he ends up uncovering even county corruption within the court system, somebody's going to keep you accountable. Somehow, some way, it's going to be found out. Now, we've often said this before in the past. If you don't want to be found out, don't do it. If you don't want it to be found out, like there are people, narcissistic people that go throughout their entire lives trying to hide everything from people. I mean, they've done horrific things. They steal from giving, generous people. They lie, manipulate, deceive. I mean, just for the sake of what? What do they get from that? I don't get it. I don't get it. You know how you have a fulfilled life with no drama, with no stress? You just do the right thing. It's so easy. It's the easiest solution to all the problems. Just do the right thing. And the thing is God's actually placed a conscience within all of us to know what is the right thing. And so you can't sit there and go, well, I didn't know. Listen, we all know that taking something from somebody is not right. And then what did we do? We called it stealing, and we made it a law. And we said it's against the law because our consciences internally told us that God placed in us that's not okay. And it never has been, and it never will be. Theft is not okay. Theft is not okay if you're a town taking it from a resident. Theft is not okay if you're a girlfriend trying to sneak it and steal it from a boyfriend. Theft is never, ever going to be okay. And so, don't do it. Do the right thing. Don't steal. As a matter of fact, what you could do is give towards people. I can promise you, you'll find much more fulfillment in life giving and paying it forward and helping than you ever will trying to hide that you're taking and stealing. Doing the right thing will always feel better than doing the wrong thing. Pamela wants to know, how are they even going to come up with a new mayor? Madam Mayor Therese, she stepped down because of Form 6, which we've already looked at Don the Con's Form 6. We will be looking at Laura Mott's Form 6 as well. We will scrutinize every bit of it under the microscope. I can promise you that. And we have every legal right to, because she submitted it. And if it's wrong, she's going to have problems within the system. Now, I would have never submitted the document in the first place, but that's me. So the question is, how do we get to a mayor? Okay, Pamela says this. When the council members are finally seated, all right, when they finally are seated, how are we getting a mayor back? So Madam Mayor, she removes herself because of Form 6. She's on the road living her best life, the RV life, which is incredible. Always been my dream. Just get up and go and drive wherever you want to go, see wherever you want to see, do whatever you want to do. No schedule, or you schedule those activities that you want to do. And I can't be more thrilled for her and her husband, Brett, that they're actually taking that leap of faith and living that life, which sounds very appealing, doesn't it? Live a life in Otter Creek, or go on the road and see all the cool things that everybody wants to see and do. I'll choose the second, even though I'm still in the first. I am still living a life in Otter Creek. I'm just not there right now. Even though I did tell you I am going back. I will be back for the next town hall meeting, and I have some other special things scheduled as well that I'll be back for. And so the way they pick a mayor is all of the council members, and by the way, this happens every single year. So you already know that 3 members get voted in a year, then 2 members in on the next year, and 3, and then 2, and then 3, and then 2, and that keeps it all mixed up. But you realize Otter Creek doesn't have enough individuals to actually fill the seats in the first place, and that's how Don the Con keeps getting back in. So what happens every year after the election, you have all the new members, even if they were previous members and they just got seated again for the new year. And then those members who are on the town council, they vote who they want to be mayor. That's how Madam Mayor received the mayorship. It was Vice Mayor Zim, and it was Gale, Councilmember Gale, who said, we want Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor accepted, and Don and Russ the Sus did not have the support that they needed, or the numbers. You have to have a quorum, which means you have to have a majority out of the 5 people. So once the 5 people are seated again, they're going to have to pick a mayor. Now, the obvious solution for mayor is going to be Vice Mayor Zim. He's already been vice mayor. He's already been working with all the water, and it's very easy just to jump right up into the mayorship position. He's been working with Belinda and Town Hall and the whole deal. Will Don the Con actually try and put his name in? I don't think so. As a matter of fact, this is one of the things that concerns me most about Don. He complains about everything, and yet he brings no solutions. None. If he's that concerned about everything that's going on in Town Hall, why is he not fighting to be the mayor of Otter Creek? Why is he not fixing it? And you could say the same thing about me. Go, Jeremy, you're complaining about everything that's happening in Otter Creek and Town Hall. No. I've complained that they stole from me, and I did fix it. It went to court. It got resolved. And you could go, well, Jeremy, now you're talking about court and all the corruption in court with Judge Thomas's. Yeah, I'm going to do everything in my power to fix that as well. Now, I have no ambition whatsoever to be a mayor, to be on the town council, or to be a judge. But what I can do is share and expose the corruption and see that it gets actually fixed. And so even with the Thomases, if the governor of Florida does not remove him from the bench, when his reelection, which he was never elected in the first place, he was appointed to the judicial bench. When his reelection comes up, I will do everything I can campaigning in Levy County, Alachua County. I will let everybody know what the horrific things this man has done so he does not get elected in that position. Whether it means I've got to get tents and booths and go to fairs, whether it means I'm going to produce more videos on Judge Thomas's, dig more into his past, look at all of his cases, show all of his cases and where he screwed it up big time. I will make sure the planet knows about his corruption and about the filthy things he has done. I will make sure that I can do whatever I can in my power to correct things. I can't be a judge, but I can share the information so other people can judge based off of the actual information. And so that's what people are doing in Town Hall when they pick a mayor. They are using their best judgment and saying, okay, this individual could be our mayor. Most likely, I'm guessing, is going to be Zim. But could it be Carl? Sure, it could be Carl. Could it be Joe? Yep, it could be Joe. Could it be Don the Con or Laura Mott? Oh, I sure hope not, because I'm not for Mott. And she has every opportunity to prove me wrong. And Lord, I pray she does. I pray Laura Mott proves me so wrong that humbly, with my tail in between my legs, I have to beg her for forgiveness, both privately and then publicly on camera, and say she was actually the best thing ever for Otter Creek. That would be incredible. Of course, Don the Con, I don't think that man has enough in him to actually take on the responsibility. He's just an old man that wants to complain about everything. Claudia wants to know, do you think Lynette and Crook got the message, stay away from the meetings, since they didn't show up at the last one? Honestly, Claudia, I don't. I think what they knew is Russ the Sus probably told them, which is illegal, sunshine law. He can't be talking about the meeting or anything about the meeting, anything in pertaining to town business, which we obviously know that he is. It's obvious, it's evident, and so is Don the Con with Lynette and Crook, right? So Russ the Sus probably told them, I'm not going to be there, I'm not going to show up. Or could we imagine that Russ the Sus went, oh, you know what? I didn't get voted in. Therefore, I'm not going to be seated. Therefore, I'm just going to have to leave anyway. Okay, that could have been. That's not like Russ the Sus, is it? Is it? I mean, this man has literally tried, if you can even call him a man. I would not call him a man. I would call him a coward. This coward has tried everything to keep his hands in Otter Creek politics. Again, for what? It literally does nothing, means nothing. So the only thing I can come up with is they're trying to hide and cover up what's really going on with the sale of rugs, you know, that great carpet. And he wants those favors from different adults for keeping the water on. Other than that, what's the point? He doesn't want people to talk. He doesn't, I don't know. He doesn't want them to tell the truth. I have no idea. Honestly, no idea. No clue whatsoever. So the aspect of your question, do they stay away? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. And it could have been an issue where, well, George and I both come back up to Hales Headquarters and they have nothing to stay away from. But that is not the issue. George is there. She will remain there. There is no plan whatsoever for her to ever come back to Hales Headquarters. And therefore, they must maintain that 500 foot, that 500 feet everywhere, no matter what, with the civil protection orders, because George is there. And again, I'll be flying back and forth because there are things that need to be cared for. For example, all of the gates were just repaired, and I've got pallet racking coming in for all of the totes for eBay and for Christmas in the Creek. And so I'll have to keep going back and forth and bumping and flying and going and there, everywhere. You know, remember, it was Judge Thomas that said you can get anything anywhere on the planet, except somehow he can't get anything to Ohio. And yet I do it all the time, literally all the time. So I don't believe they've gotten the message, nor do I believe that when they told the Popo or the law that their attorney, Silver Scam, told them that they could be there as they were filming everything, recording everything, and now they have contempt of court in Ohio because of it and in Florida because of it, because of being there for an hour and a half and not removing themselves. No, they haven't learned any lesson. The only lesson they're going to learn is when they're in jail. And that is coming. Justice is slow. It's definitely coming. There's no doubt whatsoever. They have violated these legal civil protection orders time and time and time again. And what did Levy County Sheriff Department do? Embolden them, empower them, enable them to think that they are untouchable. And now what's going to happen? Well, they're going to find out exactly what all those consequences are. I mean, it's thousands and thousands now. Thousands in fees, not only legal fees, but you've got my legal fees, you've got jail time, and the list can keep going on and on. I don't think they'll stay away. I think they'll take every opportunity. They will be emboldened even more until they are behind bars to continue to try and make my life a living Hales. Except my life has always been a living Hales because that's my last name. Ken wants to know, why would anyone on either side of this debacle want to live with chaos every day? Well, Ken, obviously, nobody wants to live in chaos every day. Somebody on this side was stalked. Somebody was stolen from, harassed, defamed, and the list goes on and on. Because I didn't give money to a town, and then I didn't give money to a con artist and a scamist, right? And so the whole point of moving to Otter Creek was to get away from any chaos. And yet, once you go into an environment of chaos, which is what Town Hall was and always was, let me emphasize this, just because I show up in town and I'm a YouTuber didn't change anything. As a matter of fact, all of this would be happening regardless of whether I was showing it or not. I show it by choice for accountability and protection. And that's my choice, to show it for accountability and protection. It is the news. It's the news story of my life. And as a content creator or an online influencer, therefore, it's something that I share publicly. And it's something that people need to know. Now, nobody goes, oh, well, you know what? I want to get in this relationship with this person, and they're a narcissist, and they're going to steal from me, and they're going to lie to me, and they're going to defame me, and they're going to do all these things to me. And that's what I wanted. No, nobody enters that because they want that in their life. Nobody in their right mind wants that. They enter it, and all of a sudden they find out that they're in that environment. I'm sure we've all heard the story of the frog in the boiling pot, right? The frog doesn't know that the water is boiling until it's too late and he's dead. The environment actually is conducive to creating the chaos. The chaos was in Otter Creek. I didn't know that, nor would anybody know that if they were just moving and buying a piece of property in Otter Creek. They didn't know, and I didn't know, drugs were being sold on my property. I didn't know that there were 2 illegal encroachments that weren't disclosed to me. I didn't know that they were going to try and steal money from me. I didn't know that I was going to be stalked and then signs were going to be put up all around town about me. There are agents or catalysts of chaos, narcissistic people, individuals that want power, individuals that try and steal money or scam or con from other people, pathological liars, manipulators. The list can go on and on. Good people can find themselves in these situations unbeknownst to themselves. And then you're thinking, okay, well, now that you know it, get out. Okay, well, easy for you to say, Ken, even though you didn't say it, but I'm just saying you're probably thinking it right now. I have over $1 million invested into Otter Creek, into the properties, over $1 million. Now, Ken, I realize it's not normal for most people to have over $1 million invested into a community or into a piece of properties, plural. Well over $1 million. Frankly, I have over $1 million invested into the ranch property and bringing utilities in and everything else I've done with the property and adding to the property. And so I'm curious, Ken, since you're asking the question, how many times have you walked away from $1 million investment and went, you know what? I'm just walking away. No, you don't walk away. You fight for your investment so that your investment pays off. And my investment does pay off. It's been very, very good in regards to my business plan. And it can be even better when I continue to stay there and I increase the business based off of the schoolhouse as well. So I don't want chaos. Now, there are agents of chaos that are all around me there, but I don't want it there. And I'm not going to just cut and run and go, oh, what? Yeah, I lost $1 million. I have over $1 million invested in this. I'm gone. No, not doing that. What I am going to do is be in regards and despite the chaos, I'm going to continue to be me. So even though I can't change who lives across the street from me, I can't change that they do illegal things and partake in illegal activity, I can fight it, and then I can continue to do things such as Christmas in the Creek. Now, everybody can do that. You can do what's in your power to change the environment around you. The frog in the boiling pot, if he had ice cubes, he could have threw ice cubes in and tried to change the environment. Now, he didn't have ice cubes. He died. But I have ice cubes. And so for Otter Creek, I can do things such as Christmas in the Creek. I can do things such as community events. I can do things for other individuals that will change the perception and hopefully the entire chaos culture of those few people in Otter Creek. Are you ready for what I would call a foolish question? And there are people that go, there are no dumb questions. Yeah, there's dumb questions. There's absolutely dumb questions. When I just went over something and you aren't paying attention and then you ask a question on it, I'm sorry, that's a dumb question. You should be paying attention. That's your responsibility. As the listener, you should be paying attention. And so this is what I would consider a dumb question. And it's a question that's asked for contention. It's specifically being asked to try and get contention. So ANCAP FTW 9113 says, so council members can't film the meeting, but you can. So you can read in it the aspect of, so council members can't film the meeting, but you can. So it's asked, again, in contention. And I've addressed this in the past, and I will address it again. Council members can film it. Council members can record it. It can't leave the building because they're council members. They're hired and are paid by the residents, and therefore that is now public information that is owned by Town Hall. It cannot be removed from Town Hall, and any resident should be able to come in and gain access to it at any time. Therefore, they are breaking the law when Russ the Sus and Don the Con are filming and recording and then removing that from the town hall. They are breaking the law, period. I'm a resident. I can film it and leave. It's owned by me. I'm not employed by the residents. Even though there are all those out there, those theories that say Jeremy employs them all. Jeremy is paying them all. They're paid actors. Everybody works for Jeremy. Nobody in Otter Creek works for Jeremy. Nobody is employed by me. Everybody's an independent contractor. So if you're not paid and on council, if you're a resident, you can film it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can put it on YouTube, put it on Facebook, put it all over social media. You can give it to anybody you want. But those individuals who are employed, it must remain legally in town hall. They can film, they can record. It cannot leave. Russ the Sus to this date and Don the Con to this date have still not handed over recordings that they have taken out of the building illegally per state sunshine law. Not per Jeremy says this is the way it is. Per the government who we appoint, we elect, and they make our laws and they get passed, and then we have to follow them. And if we don't, there are consequences. Yep, even for Don the Con and Russ the Sus. Danny Dizzy Angel wants to ask, do you have any updates on the child that's with the gruesome twosome? And have they responded to what's coming down their way? We know they can't pay you or anyone personally suing them for money, though I wonder how she's paying for an $80,000 Jeep. It seems they finally got quiet, or I'm wrong. Well, Silver Scam is the only one thus far that has ever shut Lynette up. Now, even that being said, it appears to me, okay, and this is my opinion, it appears to me when she goes into these drug-induced states of insanity, that she will start posting. And yesterday was one of those days. Multiple posts of rantings and ridiculousness. And the reality, everything she posts, she was posting everything about liars. Liars, 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 liars. Well, that would be her and Crook. 100% her and Crook. Now, she's going to, because we have all the screenshots, and it will be addressed in Ohio court and Florida court. And as she said in the past, that pertains to my ex-husband, John Crook. We have so many issues, lots and lots of issues, if you remember from Ohio court. And so she's going to try and play it off and say it all pertains to John Cook. It doesn't. It all pertains to all of this. For example, she was saying, all this money I'm paying for legal should be going towards my house. She had no money for her house. The money that she's getting for the legal fees are coming because people have watched What the Hales, not because they're for Lynette or Crook. It's because they don't like Jeremy Hales or George. And therefore, they don't like Lynette or Crook. They just dislike Jeremy Hales and George, and therefore they go, hey, I'll give them a little bit of money. None of that money that has been going to the lawyer should have been used for the house. It was designated for the lawyer, and she has to claim it all as income, regardless of whether it was given through Cash App, through Venmo, from PayPal, or if it was given directly to the lawyer. She has to claim it all, which means she's going to lose her disability benefits. And so she's getting actual more donations than she's ever received in her life, and now claiming that it should all be going towards her home. She doesn't have a home. She lives in a shed, illegally. I mean, there is no home. And there would be no money if it wasn't for exposure of all the horrific things they've done in the first place. And she's got more lawsuits coming. She's going to have another contempt of court here in Ohio for the incident at Town Hall. She's going to have another court hearing in regards to the custody of the child. She's going to have another court hearing in regards to the custody of the child. There's two coming down her pipeline. So not only does she have county court in Ohio and another contempt of court in Ohio, county court in Florida, federal court in Florida, she's also going to have two cases in regards to custody of the child as well. Now, right now, this is what she knows about. That's 6. And there's many more coming down the pipeline.